Hey guys, I'm just gonna be looking at my phone at my notes as well. So just to let you know. For the first question, it asked specific behaviors that we did and didn't see with Zoe and Jaden. So with Zoe, I could tell that she was just angrier, if that makes sense. She was angry in the beginning of her story because, like her mother was a drug addict, her father was arrested. It seemed like a lot was going on. She only had her brother, and her brother was taken away from her. She seemed to resent the case manager a lot, like she was having feelings of abandonment again from her mother and from them taking away her brother. On Jaden's end, I saw that, of course, her story was more positive, I would say, but I think it was because it was actually her telling her story and she already knew the outcome of the end. When she was telling her story, of course, like you could see emotion on her, like when she talked about like her mother, when she talked about the abuse from her stepfather, and then she had to go to one of her mother's friends, and then within like 3 weeks, the mother's friend kicked her out, and then she was sleeping in front of her school for a couple of days. So you could just see that hers was more sadness, but because she was telling her story, you could tell that she had like a great ending, if that makes sense. But of course, it was very sad in the beginning. Something that I remember from the video prior to what we watched was the ACE score. That children with an ACE score of 4 or more are 4 times more likely, or sorry, or 2 times more likely to have depression. Um, like they have a triple lifetime risk of heart disease, lung cancer, and it takes 20 years off their lives, even if they didn't smoke, which was very crazy for me for the lung cancer. But you just see that childhood trauma does affect children in like a horrific way that goes into their adulthood. Um, for the second question, it was the type of therapy that we would use for Zoe and Jaden. With Zoe, I would work on her anger, as stated before. It seems like she had a lot of resentment. The type of therapy that I do believe would work best for her would be art therapy because it seemed like that was the way that she expressed herself. Because, like, she used her rocks, she would draw, paint in class with it, like with her brother, she would show him pictures and be like that, even going to the beach with her brother and like having the rocks collecting it. So I think art is her way to express her feelings and have self-awareness because I don't think words would be best for her. I would also use attachment therapy with her because she is considered an adult child that, like she remembers all the trauma. She's an adult going through foster care. If she was going to get adopted, we didn't see that in her story, but I'm assuming either the caretaker took care of her or she did get adopted. So I definitely would use the attachment theory just to go over like her emotions with the caretakers and make it easier for the parents that she was going through. On Jaden end, I think I would do individual psychotherapy because I would want to get more in depth on how she felt in her past with like her childhood growing up and stuff like that. Like yes, in her older age, she was able to like go through everything, but I feel like I would just want to go in depth with her emotions. Of course, with everybody recording her and seeing her, she probably wasn't really talking about her emotions. You could see like when she would talk about certain stuff, like about her mother dying and about like the person putting the gun to her head, you could see like the tears coming down her eyes. So I think I would just want to get more intact with her emotions and do individual psychotherapy because I feel like she would do better on a one-on-one and not, you know, talk about, because again, like I said, I just felt like she was happy because her life did in the end turn out to be better. I would also use attachment therapy on her because she was adopted as an adult child. So I know her adopted parents seemed great and she seemed very happy with them, had nothing negative to say. But I would just make sure that she was comfortable with them physically as well as emotionally because I do sense like an emotionally background from her that she hasn't gotten tact with all the emotions. Um, so to conclude this video, I think that like a Bible verse that I said that would be great for them would be the Exodus 14, verse 13 through 14. And it says, Moses answered the people, Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you, and the Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still. And I think this goes best with the both of them because they both went through so much trauma in their lives, and it's kind of like they didn't know what to do, what the next step was. Like, I don't know what's going on. And it's kind of like God was always there for them. Like in Zoe's case, like her brother got taken away from her, but she was still able to see him every other week and every like weekend. And in most cases, honestly, when adoptive parents adopt the kids with trauma and stuff, like they don't want any of the other biological kids around them. I have plenty of friends that have never seen their siblings again after being in foster care. So she was blessed on that part. Yes, she was going through like an emotional thing, but she was blessed on that part. And then with Jaden, on Jaden's end, like you could just see overall her story was blessed. Like she never had to have sex or anything with the people while the pimp, like while she was getting pimped out by the person. The time when the guy almost raped her, her pimp walked in. When he went home, and you could tell he was probably going to discipline her, he overdosed. Like I feel like God was always in her life, and it was just always close enough, but nothing like it. Stuff happened to her, of course, but it was never to that extent, if that makes like you hear other people's story and it's worse. So I do believe God was in their life, definitely both of them, and that verse would be the best for them.